are. All right. I've been hemming and hawing and hesitating and procrastinating and where do I begin? Da da da. So I'm just gonna start. This is the start. All right, my name is Marissa Noella Shane. I was born December 28th, 1976. I hate Christmas. I hate it. Why? Because it's a stupid lie we tell to our kids, and if we can't get them what they want, they might wonder, were they good enough? And whoever turned Christmas into this endless cycle of being on the consumer wheel, and it's just all the crap that we have to buy, that just ends up in landfills and, in the ocean and whatever. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Just something about me. Almost born on Christmas, but a true hater of it. Doesn't mean I don't believe in Jesus or God, not at all. I don't. I don't think Jesus was born on Christmas. I don't think that. I also don't think that the celebration of it has much to do with him at all. But anyways, moving on. I was born, and then two sisters of mine were born, and our household was basically females, including the dog. My father was known and seen, but definitely not a part the way he should have been. Mostly gone. Mostly. I was the oldest. I feel like I knew from a very early age that I didn't think the same way that my mother did. It just, I don't know, I knew. She's got a lot of fears and phobias, and, there's reasons for that. But I also think it's hereditary. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. Oh, God, see how hard it is? Like, what do you tell? What don't you tell? What would people want to know versus what they don't care about? That's a hard thing to, figure out. So I'm just going to tell what I'm compelled to tell. Yeah, as soon as I could, I'd be out of the house. My mother loved shopping. I remember laying on the department store floor, exhausted, waiting for her to be done looking through the racks. As soon as I didn't have to go with her anymore, I wasn't going. I would be with a friend, or, exploring my neighborhood, which I lived in at the time, a nice little city to live in. I had a red 10-speed bike that I flew around the neighborhood. I just kind of was a little wild child. Not really. I didn't do anything bad, but I just liked freedom. Yeah, I liked just freedom. Okay. Let's see. One thing I did follow in the footsteps of my mother, because she had me when she was 17, or 18, sorry, 18. I got pregnant at 16, and 2 weeks after I turned 17, I had my first son. And I vowed that I would do it differently than my mother did because I'd be able to. And that was it was so important to me. I continued school even after he was born. Luckily, I had a great school. They had a daycare for young mothers to use, and I used it. I graduated. I almost immediately after graduation somehow landed this awesome job because of the classes I had taken, which I thank my teachers for. Those teachers, they helped me so much, and I owe them. Oh, I owe them. So yeah, they told me that I had interviewed with over 200 other people, and I got the job, and they wanted me, well, one of the guys was like, "You're lucky you got this job, just so you know." They did a lot of interviewing, so I landed that great job. I had to put my little perfect, awesome little son into daycare. Couldn't leave him with my mother or any other family. I had to put him in daycares. That's a whole other story. My mother preferred home daycare. She thought it would be a better environment for him. That didn't work out. Eventually, it was a daycare center, and that was finally the end of my daycare woes for my son. But it was hard to leave him in the hands of someone else every day. But I felt I had to support him, and I just thought that was the best thing for him and me, even though it meant putting him into the hands of strangers for a lot of his life. It's hard, isn't it hard? His father wasn't very stable, wasn't very helpful. In fact, the minute I got pregnant, I was like, I need to get rid of him. He's not gonna, I can't have two children. I'm only 17. I can't mother him and my baby. It's gotta be all about the baby. So that was pretty much the beginning of the end with him. It took a while. It took a while because, you know, without any role models, I didn't know how to behave correctly with a young man who, you know, just didn't treat me right, didn't respect me. Anyways, it doesn't matter. He was mostly out of the picture as well. And I can honestly say I kept him out of the picture to the best of my ability, really for the safety of our son. That's just how it is. Okay. Oh my God, what do I skip? Let's just get to it. Okay. Brian, oh my God. My son's father, which I'm going to try not to use any names because, except for a few. I think that's probably the best. My son's father, he had a brother who passed away, who was older than him, and it hit him extremely hard. But that brother of his had some friends, and a few of those friends, you know, after his brother died, gathered around him, you know, tried to be there for him. You know, they were trying to help their dead friend's brother, who definitely needed it. And one of them was my current husband, Brian Shade. And I met him, as far as I recall, the very first time I met him was when I had managed to get this apartment, and Jesse was, I don't know, 1 to 2 years old. Jesse's father even lived with us there. And Brian lived up the street with his girlfriend he had a baby with. And it was an instant attraction for me. I had never felt like that for someone up to that point that I can recall. Like, he was a big man. He was only a couple years older than me, I think, 2 or 3, and almost 3 maybe, I don't know, and maybe 3, and he just seemed like capable. He seemed like he would be a hero, you know. Here I come to save the day, you know. And he just had this charm and charisma about him that, you know, and he did. I mean, that is evident once you realize, like, how many people thought that. He just had a lot of admirers. A lot. I'll put it that way. And I definitely was one of them. I wasn't in that apartment long. As a very young person and mostly single mother, I got a lot of discrimination and just not being treated right. You know, I didn't demand respect, you know, and unfortunately some people have a tendency to just be nasty to people who appear to be weak, you know, weak. So I felt that a lot. So I lost that apartment. Went back to living with my mother with a young baby, but I would call Brian. I would call his girlfriend's house and ask to speak with Brian, and we would be on the phone, I don't know, for a long time. Oh my God. An hour at a time, possibly more. Just didn't want to let him go. He was all I could think about. I thought about him a lot. I'm going to pause this. Hot. And I thought about him a lot. And I didn't feel guilty about it because my son's father was constantly cheating on me, and just he definitely did not treat me the way I should have been treated. And, you know, whatever. That happens a lot, doesn't it? So I thought about him all the time, and he thought about me too. He would go to the apartment, and if I wasn't there, he'd ask my son's father, "Where's Marissa?" Like, that would be his first question. He didn't care how obvious it was. Yeah, that's how it was. And then, I don't know what for. Because Brian could be a target for, like, police and stuff. And also, you know, people would say that he did things that he never did. That really did happen. I'm not saying that he never did some things. He did. But there were things that he was accused of that he never did. And he ended up in jail. But we stayed connected. We wrote each other letters. And we would very shyly flirt with each other, and, you know, it wasn't, you know, this immense love affair. It just was little shy, you know, innuendos and stuff like that. that went on for a while. And then my son's father's sister, who I'd consider my friend off and on, told me, because I think I was telling her that I was writing to Brian, and she immediately told me that she also was writing to him, and that the plan was that she and him were going to be together when he got out, which was a lie. She had this thing where, for some weird reason, she just didn't want me to be with anyone but her brother. So it wouldn't be the first time that she'd try to sabotage a relationship between me and any other man. A lot of jealousy. Anyway, she told me that, and, you know, I didn't even ponder it. I just was like, I'm not going to fight her over anyone. If she wants, you can have him. I'm good. I was good by myself, and I wasn't, like, set on anything. So I'm like, okay, he's yours. You got it. And I stopped writing to him immediately. That's just, it's just how I was. I was like, not worth it. So we've definitely lost, like, touch. But of course, he would see me or I would see him. We just really didn't connect again until years later. And so many things had happened at that point to me. I had lost that beautiful, wonderful job that I had gotten. I lost my brand new car. I had lost my beautiful house. I had lost almost everything. My son was staying with his father. My father. My father was like trying to make up for, not being a good dad, and he checked my son in. This is because the last person who knew me would ever think, but I had unfortunately, because of a couple of prescriptions they had given to me, and because I, at the time, was in the wrong relationship and not happy. All of it together, and came together, and I became an opiate addict. And it really cost me everything. On top of that, I had experienced a lot of trauma and terrible, terrible things, which I won't talk about right now. But just at that point that me and Brian finally got this chance to really connect, I wasn't the same person that he had met years before. I was like an empty, dead thing walking around. And this is the reality. I, once so vibrant, self-confident, able, I did so many things. I ran 6 miles a day. I had my son in sports, in Sunday school. I even had 2 jobs at one point. I could conquer it all. Now, I'm nothing. And I'm really at the point, no joke, I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm ready to die now because it's all gone and I don't feel anything. I don't care. I don't care about anything. My son doesn't need me. Nobody in my family really wants me. And I can die now. And I'm not kidding. I thought I'm gonna OD at some point and then it will be over. Like, I wasn't planning on specifically doing it. I just was like, it's gonna happen. And then I'll move on to the next plane. That was like, I didn't even, it wasn't a thought. It was just like a knowing. That's what it felt like. This is what's gonna happen. Because my son was psychic when he was a baby, which I can explain later, but I've always had this, and I didn't even think of it that way. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I would just know things that I knew were gonna happen. I really wish I could describe it better than that. Maybe I'll find a way to do it, but that's how I felt. And it was one of those things, like, yep, that's what's gonna happen. Until then, just keep trudging day after day. That's where I was at when I reconnected with Brian, who little did I know would become the one man that I decided to trade vows with. Just talking about it. I know I'm not, like, I've tried to prepare for this. I still haven't learned the editing because I want to edit in a lot of stuff to back up what I'm actually saying here. And I do have the stuff. I just need to learn how to, you know, embed it in these videos I'm making to, like, back up what I'm saying. But I'm tired of, like, putting it off. So here today, that's the beginning. Stay tuned for the next chapter.